Hello, and thank you for stopping by. This is Rene Ruiz with SoCal Purchase Loans, and I'm going to do a short video on annual percentage rates. The acronym is APR, and as you know, stands for annual percentage rate. And these type of calculations can be done for all sorts of loans. You'll see them for credit cards, you'll see them for auto loans, of course, mortgages, and even for personal loans. If you got a loan from your grandmother, I can calculate an APR for it. Now, before going into the explanation of what an APR is, I want to talk about interest rates, also known as note rates, and that's because often consumers will confuse the two, and they're not interchangeable. They are not the same. So let's go over what an interest rate is first, and then we'll talk about the APR. So here's the definition from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is obviously a kind of a boring definition. I'm going to give you my definition afterwards, but here it is. An interest rate is the cost you will pay each year to borrow money, expressed as a percentage. It does not reflect fees or any charges you may have paid for the loan. Here's my definition. It's way simpler. It's the rate that is used to calculate your monthly payment. Again, we're talking about the interest rate, the note rate. So by comparison, what exactly is the APR? Well, here's the definition from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and then I'll give you my definition. Theirs is an APR is a broader measure of the cost of borrowing money compared to the interest rate. It reflects the interest rate, any points, third-party fees, and any other charges that you pay or prepay in order to get the loan. So now we see the distinction here is that the APR includes what you paid in order to get the loan. So by the way, most of the time, an APR is higher than the interest rate unless you didn't pay any fees or prepay any items. Here's my definition of APR. It's a calculation that converts all the loan associated costs from a dollar amount to a fraction of a percentage rate, which is then added to your note rate. Now, that means that, again, if you paid no closing costs, then your note rate and APR are the same. But that's usually never the case because you usually at least prepay items, taxes, insurance, interest, and for that reason, that ends up getting built into the APR. Now, there's a couple things that you should know. These are very important. First of all, not all APRs are calculated equally. APR calculations, unfortunately, can be manipulated. Let's say that we have a marketing company, and by the way, most APRs are calculated for marketing purposes, and they want to look better than their competition. Well, they might choose to use less days of prepaid interest on a quote. And if you're asking for a quote and you don't have an exact closing date, well, you're basically leaving it open-ended for the lender or loan officer who's quoting you to make an assumption. Some will say, okay, well, let's assume that the buyer is going to close at a time where there's 0 days of prepaid interest due. That's going to make our APR look better. Some other marketing departments might say, hey, we don't know that our buyer is going to impound, so let's not include the amount that they would prepay or set aside in reserves for property taxes because that's going to increase our APR. It's going to make us look bad. So depending on who you're working with, they might include things in their APR calculation that another lender is not. For that reason, when comparing APRs from one lender to another, it's often not an apples to apples comparison unless you completely go out of your way to make sure that the prepaid interest is exact, that the tax prorations and reserves are all exactly the same from one lender to the other. All right. Thank you for stopping by. For those of you that are huge math whizzes and want the calculation, please reach out to me. I have the formula. I'm happy to go over it with you. I just realized that it's not for everyone. Once again, thank you. And if you know of anyone that could use this information, please feel free to share it. If you can think of any other educational videos that we can shoot that would be beneficial to you or to other consumers, please send us a message. We'd love to take care of that for you. Thank you for your time and make it a great day.